Hi, everybody. We're just going to give it just a second to let everybody get logged in. Good morning. All right. The number has slowed down a little bit. So everyone, welcome to Marketing Your Business, Part 3, Understanding Your Target Market. Our presenter today is Jerry Deniston. She is a Senior Business Analyst with the Maricopa Small Business Development Center. So Jerry, I will let you take it away. Just one quick housekeeping suggestion: put your questions in the chat and we will get them answered. And Jerry, I'll let you take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Karen. And welcome. Good morning, everybody. I see some familiar names in the chat. So great to have you join us again for part 3. So just the names I'm seeing, I know you are SBDC clients, but for those that may not be SBDC clients, just a little bit of an overview. The Maricopa Center is the largest of 10 centers in the state of Arizona, providing no-fee counseling, training such as this, and additional resources to SBDC clients. So this right here is the Maricopa SBDC website address to register for counseling. But if you're in another county, Yavapai, Pima, any of the other counties, Yuma, then you need to look for the SBDC. Fanny, hi. Yeah, register at yc.edu/SBDC if you're in Yavapai. Good. Okay. So yes, every center, almost every, in one of the 10 centers, there should be one near you, depending on where you're located. As Karen said, I'm Jerry Deniston. I've got more than 30 years of experience in mainly digital marketing now since 2005, I think it is, that I started on the path towards digital marketing. So that's part of that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. In addition to your target market and understanding your buyer persona, you should have received the HubSpot guide on creating a buyer persona and the template for that. So if you didn't, then you just need to let Karen know after this, and she'll send those additional handouts to you. You also will get a copy of the slides. So that'll be coming to you after this as well. But we're going to be really focusing on who your ideal customer is and why it's important. And then we'll go into some best practices on the digital marketing and social media. So first of all, really having a picture in your mind of what your ideal customer looks like is important, because that way, as you're creating all of your content, you have this image of that person or that family in your head, and you can think more clearly about what they're looking for. So if you can find a picture online that you can plop into that template, that would be actually a good thing to do. So who is your ideal customer? The point here is, even if you are just getting started, let's say you're a startup and you haven't sold anything yet, you should have something in mind, a person in mind. If you were to put yourself in the customer's shoes, what's that person look like? You've developed products and services. You have an idea of what it is, what this business is about, and what the product or service is that you're selling. But who are you selling to? What's that person look like? Is it a man? Is it a woman? Is it a teenager? Is it a family? Is it a young family? Are you selling to seniors? What's this look like? And so this is really helpful, and it's really important to spend some time here trying to describe that ideal customer, the one that you want as a repeat customer. This is assuming you're a startup. But if you are not a startup, then you do have some repeat customers who are buying from you on a regular basis, whether it's online or they're coming into your retail shop or your restaurant or your coffee house. And you hopefully are engaging them in conversation from time to time and finding out a little bit about them. people are always willing to share. It's amazing what people will tell you if you just ask a question or two, perceptive question, and show an interest in them and their lives, and you will get the entire story of their life. So now you have an idea of their age, maybe their education level. If they've got teenagers and they're telling you that, well, then you've got an idea. You may not know their actual age, but you can kind of guess if you get to see them. Maybe the type of work that they do, right? How they dress might tell you that. If they're wearing business suits, then they probably work in an office. If they're wearing jeans and, scuffed boots, then they're probably farmers or ranchers. So pay attention to what they look like, and try to write down a few characteristics. Identify on your template 3 characteristics of what this ideal customer would be. So this is your first exercise right off the bat. Does anybody have an idea that you want to share in the chat of who you think your ideal customer is? Whether it's male, female, have kids, don't have kids, getting engaged. Are you a photographer? You're doing wedding photography? Okay, good. Susan, yes. Anybody else have an idea that you want to share? 20s woman, just engaged. Okay, perfect. Women 24 years plus, professional. Okay. Homeowners for Jenny. Good. Shauna, BIPOC community. Not quite sure what that is, but maybe it's okay. Bipolar. That's what comes to mind. Black, Indigenous, people of color. Okay, that's a new term for me. Thank you, Shauna. And then other business owners. Okay, so cool. Females 25 plus, crafty. So I'm seeing some social media platforms. Just as I look at those descriptions, I'm seeing some key social media platforms which we're going to talk about down the road, but that's where you need to be, because that's where you're going to find them. So let's move on. This has been great. You should have this template, right? This is I've downloaded from Extensio. You might also be using the one from HubSpot that's in the guide, but Extensio, this Extensio.com has a wealth of information, a bunch of templates you can download for free. And so it's worth exploring there. And this gives you an opportunity to fill this out as much as you can. And if you don't have the information, don't worry about it, because as you talk to people and as you send them surveys to find out what their interests are and what their habits are, then you can begin to fill this out even more. And especially with your repeat customers, the reality is you probably have more than one ideal customer. There's one customer type that is the repeat customer that comes back over and over again. There may be another customer type that is maybe similar, but a little bit different and doesn't buy quite as often, but that could be another target audience for you, right? Each one has different needs. They've got different profiles, and they've got different reasons that they're customers of yours. So you want to fill out 2, maybe at least 1, but maybe you want 2 or 3 of these, depending on what products or services you are actually in the business of selling, producing and selling. So now what we're going to talk about is what the customer is actually buying, right? Because this, on the surface, let's say you're a coffee shop and you're selling gourmet coffee. Is that really the reason that the customer is coming into your store, right? Into your coffee shop? And let me give you an example here. Starbucks, their mission is not to sell coffee. Their mission is to sell experiences. That's why the Starbucks shops are laid out the way they are. That's why they have in the store, they have these conference rooms so people can have, a small meeting of 8 to 10 people. There's one conference room in some of these stores. That's why they've got the tables and the chairs set up the way they do. That's why there's the outdoor patio. They're creating an ambiance, an environment, and they want people to come and they want them to buy coffee and pastries, and they want you to sit a while. They want you to sit there because the longer you're there, the higher likelihood there is that you're going to get another pastry or another cup of coffee or another tea, right? So what they're selling is ambiance and experience. So think about that from the standpoint of your business and your customer. What is the real reason that they are purchasing from you? Is it really a solution to a problem? Is it just satisfaction? Is it because you're a school and you're selling learning skills? They're developing a skill set. Beyond just knowledge, if it's a school, I'm thinking of a medical massage school, as an example, what you're selling maybe isn't just the training, but it's a whole new career path. You're selling an opportunity for someone to satisfy their passion, right? So what is it you're really selling, and what is it that the customer is really buying from you? Think about that in terms of these areas. Can anybody share right now what it is you think the customer is actually buying from you? And it doesn't have to be just these, it could be something totally different, but these are things, ideas that I came up with that could be. I mean, if you're a medical doctor, elimination of pain, naturopath, elimination of pain could be one real thing. That's the reason you go to the chiropractor or the naturopath. Ease and convenience, okay, from Chris. Anybody else? Saving time and money. Okay, that could be. So that could, and then impulse. Okay, Chris. Sometimes, yes, an impulse purchase is exactly what you're trying to get people to do. If you bought something, then you want them to buy something else on impulse. Grocery stores are good at that by where they position their products near the register, right? The candy is always near the register. Okay, let's move on. What about where you find them? So why would this be important to know where they live and work? Why is that important? Why does that matter? Anyone? This is an opportunity. Spending habits, okay. Yep. Networking opportunities, absolutely. That could be community need, that could be as well. So so think about this too. If you have a physical location, you're a coffee shop, you're a restaurant, you're a medical school, or you're a naturopathic doctor or something, chances are your clients, your customers, your patients come from within a 5 to 10 mile radius, right? So knowing that and knowing where they live and work drives the kind of marketing that you do, because you aren't marketing to the entire world, all of Maricopa County, right? If you have a coffee house in a certain area of Scottsdale, for example, then doing broadcast marketing to all of Maricopa County is really wasting money. What you want to do is targeted marketing within a 5 to 10 mile radius to the homes and the offices around your coffee house, because that's where the majority of your customers are coming from. Now, you might get some who are driving by, right? Especially if you're well located off the 101, for example, or off the 51 or something, then you could get customers who are driving by and just need a cup of coffee. And then they're going to search on their phones, best coffee near me, right? Based on the location. So that means that your communications, your website, your landing pages, your social media, you need to have those words, best coffee near me, somehow in that, so it shows up in a Google search. So and you need to have a map locating where your coffee house is. That's on your Google business profile, right? So But for the rest of us who are selling online, that's a little bit different. If you're selling only online, then how are your customers finding you? You need to know which social platforms they're on. You need to make sure you're showing up in Google searches, and we're going to talk about that a little bit further. The other thing to keep in mind is drive time. If you are in Maricopa County, for example, this is a metropolitan city. But if you're in Yavapai County or the rural part of Pima County, you're outside the major metropolitan areas, then drive time is people spend more time in their cars, right? Well, you spend a lot of time in your car in the metropolitan cities because you get stuck on the freeway, right? But in Yavapai County, for example, there aren't that many coffee houses in Prescott Valley. I think there's one coffee shop. There are several in Prescott. So if you live in Prescott Valley, or you even live in, some of the other like Mayer or Spring Valley, where there's nothing, then you have to drive, and you're used to driving. So if you want to go, you have to really want a cup of coffee, a really good cup of coffee, or it's on your way to work in Prescott, right? For you to stop somewhere to go get that cup of coffee. So it becomes more of a destination. So understanding where your customers live and work and gives you some perception about how far they're willing to drive in order to come to your location. And if you're selling online, what's their internet access like? Because if you're selling online and they're out on a ranch and they are 50 miles from a major metropolitan area, they may not have access to the internet. They may have to rely on satellite or dish because they don't have cable. So these are things you need to keep in mind in terms of who your target audience is and where they live and where they work and what their buying habits are. That's why this is important, understanding that, because it also drives how you reach them. Any questions about that? And if you have questions, feel free to just put them in the chat and I will address them as we go along. But right now, I want to dive into digital marketing. So what I'm going to show you are some best practices in digital marketing. All right. So we just talked about identifying your target audience, and it absolutely is important because that way you're targeting all of your information to that ideal customer. Doesn't mean you're not going to reach the others, right? Because you can target A, you're still going to get some people from the B category, right? But you want to target all of your promotions, your information, your advertising to that ideal customer. That's really important. And understanding their needs and wants, like we just talked about. Blogging is a really important strategy. This helps build website traffic. And it also turns you into an authority, right? Because as you write articles, as you blog, and you produce more and more blogs, it's your expertise and authority that's being shared. And this has been proven to actually drive more website traffic than anything else. People are searching online and they read the blogs, especially if you're using the right kinds of keywords and you're sharing information that's relevant to your target audience. The articles, when you write these articles, you want to keep that key ideal customer in mind as to who you're writing for. Okay, creating the relevant content for these customers. This is also really critical. I'm going to have to get this chat out of the way here. And it's considered the most effective SEO tactic. So that's an interesting thing. Again, what we've been talking about, relevant to that ideal customer. So part of we're talking about in terms of creating the relevant content is making sure that as you have their needs and wants in mind and you know who that person is, then you also have an idea of the kind of information they're looking for. And they're doing a lot of searches online, trying to find that answer. And incorporating those keywords and these tactics into your digital marketing actually beats social media by 300%. I mean, that's huge, right? So if all you're doing is just promoting on social media and you aren't doing any keyword research and you aren't, you aren't paying attention to the SEO, then you're kind of wasting your time. And if you're buying ads on Facebook without doing this research ahead of time and having that ideal customer in mind, then you could be wasting some advertising dollars, as an example. So this SEO portion of this is really critical, and that's search engine optimization. Advertising across multiple platforms. If you do have a budget to advertise, don't just focus on one. It's just, when you think about it, before online, before social media, back in the dark ages of marketing, when all we did was radio, television, and print, right? Newspapers and magazines. When you had an ad budget, you didn't just buy radio, you also bought print. And why did we do that? Why were you buying print and radio at the same time? And possibly even television or the shopper guides and coupon books? Why would you buy ads in multiple platforms? Anybody? Just put your answer in the chat. More exposure to attract target audiences. Absolutely. Because you don't know where they are, right? This is the same thing about being online and understanding diversification. Absolutely, Ruth Ellen. What you want to do is reach that target audience wherever they happen to be. So they may not be driving in their car if all you're doing is running ads on the radio. So they might never hear your ad, but they might see the online ad, same ad. They might see the print ad in the local paper, right? They just missed the radio one. So not everyone has the same social media and ways to search for you. Absolutely, that's right, Taryn. So that's why it's important to consider, if you've got an ad budget, consider advertising on the platforms. If you're going to do online social media, for example, and Google pay-per-click, then consider where you can advertise based on which platforms your target audience is using. Okay, email marketing. I'm going to talk about this too, because email marketing still works. We think that it's gone by the wayside, but it hasn't. We are getting tons of email in our inboxes, but it still works and it drives results. So the problem with this is you need to clean your list. You need to clean it on a yearly basis. And when I say clean it, that means if you're sending out broadcast emails to everybody, right, which is the easiest thing to do. It's harder to do the targeted email. It's easier simply say, here's my entire list. I'm just going to send the newsletter out to them, or I'm just going to send this, this email to everybody and see who responds. And your ideal customer may not get it and may not respond. And in fact, your ideal customer may get irritated because maybe it isn't even relevant to what they wanted and why they got on your list. The other thing that happens is people move. And so they cancel this email and you have old emails. If you've got email addresses, which we do, for example, on our list, that go back 10 years, then it's time to clean up your inbox, clean up your email list, and send out a email to everybody and see what bounces and then remove them from the list. 20 to 30% of the email list is actually bad after a year. That's because people move. Using automation campaigns. This is why email works, and this is why automation campaigns. Any questions about what I mean when I say an automation campaign? I'm happy to describe that. And I'm actually going to show you a graph about that too. Okay, Susan. So an automation campaign is where you use a platform like MailChimp or Constant Contact or MailerLite or Zoho. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them out there. And what you do is write a series of emails ahead of time that are targeted to this particular ideal customer. You create a landing page or a form on your website that encourages that person, when they visit your website, to click on the link to download whatever it is you're giving them. And I'm going to show you a graph about all of this. That gets them into this campaign. So the campaign is set up ahead of time. And what you're doing is driving people to whatever, it's a post, whether it's a social post on one of the social platforms, driving them to a particular page or a form on your website where you want them to click a link. When they click that link, they get on your list. I'll describe this in more detail, but an automation campaign just runs. Once you've got it all set up in one of these platforms and you've created it and you've set all what are called triggers, then when someone visits your page and clicks on that link, they're automatically added to your list and they're added into that campaign. And then you don't have to worry about writing another email to send them every week or every month and putting that tickler on your calendar, because it's just going to keep going and it's going to run and it'll even repeat if they never responded. So why would that be important other than this, derives return on investment by 3,800 to 4,400%? Why would you care about doing that? Why would that be important? To have the email campaign just running all the time and even repeating back to the visitors who signed up. They could have signed up a year ago and they're still getting your campaign. And if I don't see any answer, then what I'm going to say here is the reason is that you don't know when that person's going to be ready to buy. Repetition is one of, yes, repetition. It takes lots of repeats. It takes 20 touches now, 20 touches for someone to finally buy. So when I say 20 touches, that's email messages, that's phone calls, that's text messages, that's social posts, that's ways that you reach out and contact, direct messages on Facebook or LinkedIn. 20 of those before, yeah, it used to be 7, right? And now it's 20. People are just so busy. So once you get them on your list, you don't want them unsubscribing. You want them in the campaign, because it could be a year from now, as you're continuing to send information to them. It could be a year or a year and a half or 2 years from now when they finally go, they see that come into their inbox and they go, oh, yeah, I remember that person. I remember I signed up for that. This is, now I've got time. And they click on it and they might each actually purchase something, right? Or schedule an appointment. So you want to use the email campaigns because it's convenient. It makes your life easier than you having to remember that this Friday I need to send these emails out and I need to write them and send them out. The other thing is, if you're especially selling online, and even if you're not, if people are visiting your website even, and you have a physical location, but they're visiting your website, for example, I'm going to go back to a restaurant or a coffee shop. Frequently, I will go visit the website and go look at the menu to see, is that interesting? Is that something I'm interested in today? So I'm not purchasing anything, but I want to see what the menu offerings are. So that's important. And sometimes there's an interactive chatbot there. So someone, this is important too, because, hi, how can I help you? If you've customized this so that it's it feels like it's a personal experience, then you have a higher likelihood of converting that individual, satisfying them because they got good service, and maybe converting them into a buyer. So consider using the chatbots. Just know that if you do, you really need to spend the time to develop how they're going to respond. And so, think about your FAQs. What are the frequently asked questions? And that's what you build into the behind the scenes to the chatbot. So if someone asks a question or says, I'm looking for this, that triggers a response from the chatbot, which is the answer to that frequently asked question. So there are tools that you can use for that. And I think as you explore and visit various websites and you interact with them, you'll get a pretty good idea whether it was done well or not done well. I've gotten plenty frustrated interacting with a chat bot and not getting to the answer I'm looking for. So you want to work on that for sure if you're going to use it. So this is the email campaign chart I was telling you about earlier. All right, I'm going to walk you through what this looks like. You've probably experienced this yourself, but you didn't understand what was happening behind the scenes. But these email marketing platforms do this and handle this for you really, really well once you've got them all set up. The first thing you want to do is create this landing page. And the landing page, for those that may not be familiar with a landing page is not your website. A landing page is a separate page that could be a hidden page that you created on your website. It could also be a page that you've created in MailerLite or MailChimp or Constant Contact, because now they're offering that capability. It has one single focus, and that is to get the visitor to take action on that page. And the action is fill out the form and download whatever it is you're offering, whether it's a free gift, a guide, or a coupon, or whatever it is you're offering. It is aimed at that target audience, and the sole purpose of that page is to get someone to give you their email address and their name and get on your list. And they know they're doing that, but they're doing that because you offered them something that is a solution to their problem, that is what they're looking for, why they were searching online. You showed up, that landing page showed up because you used the right keywords, and they went, that's the answer, I think, to my problem. I'm willing to give my email address and my name in order to take a risk that this is going to solve my issue, right? So you create that first. Then you build out all your social media here. You have social posts that are aimed at driving people to that. The social posts, your email message, your ads that you might run all have links that go to that landing page. Don't start promoting until you've got the campaign set up. Okay, but this is how this works. You do all your promotion online. It sends people to the landing page. The visitor fills out that form. They get this success window that pops up that shows, thank you, success, we appreciate your business. Now there's just one more step. Go to your inbox. It sends them to their inbox. You should receive an email from us in just a minute or two, and there's a link there to confirm. We just want to confirm that this email is valid. So click on that link. That's what's in that message. They click on this link, and now they're in your campaign. And the next thing might be, as soon as they've clicked on that link and confirmed it, another page shows up and says, you can download this guide, or click here for it takes them back to the website and they can click to get the coupon, whatever it is you're offering, right? So that's the first thing that happens. Now they're in your campaign, and a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, it depends on how you've designed the campaign, they're going to get that first email. That first email is an informative educational email about whatever you were promoting on the landing page. So here's an example. You're selling, I downloaded a free guide. I paid for it, but I downloaded a guide about orchids, right? I got into this gal, because I love orchids, and I've had some issues with 1 or 2 orchids. And I'm, it's like, what am I doing wrong? Why are they not blooming? And why did this one die? So this is all about managing your orchids. So I got her guide. I know I got on her list because I got a series of emails. I got a series of 6 or 8 or 10 emails that I have not paid any attention to, but I know I can go back and look at them. And they're all about the orchids and watering and feeding and different kinds of orchids. So every single email she's sending me here, I didn't mean to click on that, but every single email here has to do with orchids. If she started sending me emails that had nothing to do with orchids, but about roses, maybe I'd be interested. But if she's sending me emails about something totally unrelated to orchids and managing your orchids and the watering and feeding and care of orchids, I'd go, that's not why I signed up, and I'd unsubscribe. So you want to make sure that when this email campaign launches, every single one of these emails ties directly back to the content on that landing page and whatever that free gift was that you provided. You can create multiple campaigns. Just because I'm interested in the orchids doesn't mean I wouldn't be interested in a campaign about hay bale gardening or about take care and feeding of roses, right? I might be. You never know. So that's a different campaign. That wouldn't be this same campaign. So the beauty of the of this program of the email marketing campaign is that you can create multiple campaigns that work similarly, but they are targeting different needs, different issues, could be the same target audience, but now it's got a different interest level. So now I could be on her list twice, right? But now I'm in two different lists. I'm in a list for roses and I'm on a list for orchids. And I know that I'm in there twice, but she's not going to send me about orchids, anything about orchids when I'm looking about wanting information about roses. So be very specific about what you're communicating here with your email marketing campaign. The other thing to keep in mind is that you don't sell and promote anything in this campaign until you have sent at least, I think it's now 6 or 7 informative emails. You can have a link to your website. You can have your phone number in there, but you aren't promoting, you're simply educating. Here's more information that you asked for about this, the care and feeding of orchids. And then in the 8th or the 9th email, you send an email that also has, hey, there's a special gift. I'm doing a special seasonal Christmas, buy one, get one free. If you buy this orchid food, I'll send you a free orchid, something like that. How do you get them on separate lists to opt in? So it's a different campaign. You'd run a different landing page. You'd have a different pop-up form that's for the different campaign. Some campaigns, Laurel, some campaigns can be really complicated. So you can, so this is a simple email marketing campaign, but it can also be different triggers. So if they didn't buy the orchid one, they went all the way through and they didn't buy, but they stayed on your list, you could send another trigger that says, okay, they didn't buy this, now send them this campaign and see what kind of response you get. So it can be different triggers that trigger an interest in either putting them into a different campaign. Like some of these email marketing campaigns have a straight line, this email, that email, that email that just goes. But some of them have, if by the 3rd email, if they click on a link in that 3rd email, it drops them down and they purchase, let's just say they purchased. Now it drops them down into another series of email messages that is after the purchase, right? Now you've got a buyer, they bought. So you don't want to be sending them this other stuff necessarily. It all depends on what your focus is and your strategy is. You put them down into another post-purchase, and now they're getting a series of satisfaction. How are you happy with it? Any answers, any questions that you have? Now you've got a different series. And then you've got some other offers that you could give them, because if they already purchased, then you say, other clients who purchased this also bought this might be of interest to you. So it depends on how you design what the objectives are of the email marketing campaign. It can be either a straight line like that, or it can have multiple triggers that take people on different paths. And I've done a lot of those. They can get very, very complicated. But if they're executed properly, then they can be successful, and you keep the person on the list and they keep getting information from you on a regular basis. Let's move on. We're going to talk now about social media, and we're going to a little bit. I did this research. This changes all the time. So, you know, it's always good to go online and look at what the demographics are for who's using each of these platforms. But these are the top 7, I think. And I did this research, I think, a few months ago. So this is where the statistics were at that point. Interesting that it's changed and it changes all the time. More males on Facebook. Used to be mostly females. Then it was 50-50, and now it's, you know, a little bit more higher skewing towards males than females, and a younger audience of 25 to 34. Instagram, you know, I have always thought that Instagram was more female oriented, but look at this. It's really 50-50, but still skewing a little bit higher to men, and in the 18 to 24 category. YouTube does skew higher to men. It used to be a lot higher than 54%. And it's a young audience, 15 to 35. It doesn't mean you don't have people in other age categories, but this is the largest age group in YouTube. And TikTok is, you know, more female than male. It has skewed higher, 18 to 24. When TikTok started, it was more 13-year-olds, but it's getting older, and there are more professionals that are on TikTok. So, I mean, something to consider if that's your audience. And what platform most used by older 50+ population? I think you're going to find that's Facebook. Facebook is where, and Pinterest, oddly enough, is another one. So, Marie, why would I say Facebook for the 50+ population? So that's a question for you. And LinkedIn too, if they're still working. Yeah, LinkedIn, if they're not retired and still working, absolutely, you're going to get 50+. So didn't hear why would I say 50 for the 50+ to Marie? Because you asked me where to find the 50+ population. And I'm saying 50, Facebook, because we stole it from our children, Karen. Yes, yes, it is, because frequently that's the only way that mothers and grandmothers and grandparents, that parents find out what's happening with their kids, right? We don't live in multi-generational households. I mean, most Americans don't live in multi-generational households. Certain cultures do. Certain cultures have multi-generational households. But if you're basically white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, then the tendency has been, once the kids leave the nest, they leave. Then your mom's stalking you there. See, that's how she finds out what you're doing, Karen. And this is how parents stay in touch with their kids. I mean, I have nieces and nephews who live their lives online, right? If I want to know what's going on with them, I can't reach them by phone. They won't respond, but I can check their Facebook pages and their Instagram, and I see what they're doing, so I can stay in touch that way. And so the 50+ population is on Facebook also, but the largest group is still the 25 to 34, because they're living their lives there, right? And so mom and dad and grandpa and grandma, that's how they stay in touch with their kids and their grandkids. The grandkids are probably on TikTok, especially if they're younger. And they're on the WhatsApp, they're on the Messenger apps, right? So, and if you've got friends in other parts of the world, global, then WhatsApp is going to be it's not on here, and it's basically a messaging app, but you can share encrypted videos, images, text messages, all for free across the internet. So you'll find that a lot of people in other countries use WhatsApp as a communication tool for text messaging. They won't use Facebook, they won't use Instagram or LinkedIn, they'll use WhatsApp. Facebook, by the way, owns WhatsApp. So Facebook owns Instagram and WhatsApp. So they've kind of locked that down. LinkedIn is where you're going to find the professionals. So if your target audience is executives, CEOs, senior and mid-level managers and their teams, then LinkedIn is where you're going to want to do all your prospecting. Doesn't mean you aren't also on Facebook, for example, and possibly on X, but LinkedIn's where you're going to do most of your prospecting and spend a lot of your time. If you are someone who is creating and selling jewelry or household products, candles, anything for the home, clothes, if you're designing clothes, if you're selling anything like that, then Pinterest is where you want to be. Even if you're selling recipes, if you are in the what are the fresh, if you're doing fresh, you're a restaurant and you've decided to launch a side business that sells prepared meals and ships them out to individuals where all they have to do is pop it in the oven, but they've got a chef prepared meal, right? Then Pinterest is where you want to be. You want to have it on your website, you want to have the promotion there, but you need to create boards on Pinterest that also showcases. It's perfect for that. You can have videos, you can have photos, but those women that are on Pinterest are shoppers. They have their credit cards ready and they are ready to buy. So Pinterest is going to be probably the best platform for you if your audience, your target customer is female, and look at what's on Pinterest if that's your area. Then that's going to be key. X, Twitter, since Elon Musk purchased it, there's been a lot of flux there. So we're still kind of in a wait and see about what's happening with that platform. A lot of people leaving, employees leaving X. So I don't know how well that's going to be performing over the next several months and year, but it's still 62% male. It used to be, I didn't check this, but the majority of the people using Twitter used to be outside the United States. And it may still be true. And that is because in a lot of developed countries where the governments tend to clamp down on access to the internet and social media, Twitter was the only platform that people were able to get messages out to the rest of the world about what's happening, especially if they're in war-torn areas, right? There's a huge mess going on in the Middle East right now. So as well as the Ukraine, that ongoing. But Twitter, X, becomes a tool for them to communicate to the media, to the population, the global world at large. And so that's been a traditional outlet that those people have used. It does still link well with LinkedIn, and I have used it that way when I post on LinkedIn, that it also posts on my X, my Twitter platform. Really don't like that name X, but that's me. Didn't seem to make any, I don't understand the name. So let's talk about goals. We talked about goal setting at the very beginning, right? So here's where, depending on the different platforms you're using, I'm just going to show these all. They're all similar, but slightly different. And here's where you need to set specific goals. So in other words, if you're on Facebook and that's where your ideal customer is, and Facebook's where you're going to spend most of your time. And I do recommend, I mean, it's good to be on multiple platforms, but focus on the main one where your ideal customer is hanging out most of the time, right? So if that's Facebook, then set specific goals. You're wanting to increase clicks on links from what percent to this percent, right? From 5% to 10% within the period of time that you're running a special campaign, or you want to increase shares from 1 to 5 or 10, or you want to increase the number of comments on your posts from none to 10. That's all Facebook cares about. That's all Google cares about anymore. They're looking for engagement. Same thing with Instagram. LinkedIn, it's about building followers and creating comments and views of your posts. And also think about this from LinkedIn. You know, if you're on LinkedIn, you can just write a post. But what really gets attention is to generate an article. So remember I talked about blogging back a few slides back, and I think I may have mentioned repurposing. You write a blog article that's on your website, it's on your blog section, blog page of your website. You repost it on LinkedIn as an article, not as a LinkedIn post, but you write it as an article that links back to your website, because that way, even though the blog is on your website, the same article shows up on LinkedIn. It may be the people on LinkedIn that actually read the article and come back to your website versus the other way around, right? So then think about, can you turn it into a YouTube video? Can you use that as your script and create a YouTube video with slides? Then you can run that on Facebook as, you know, or on Instagram, if that's relevant. You can certainly upload it to YouTube and create and have a whole channel there, and with specific videos, how-to videos, that sort of thing. So think about ways to repurpose any content that you do create. And the same thing for, you know, all of these. It's building followers, it's shares, and it's comments. And in Pinterest, they talk about repins, right? So those are when people find something and on one of your boards, and they repin it to their Pinterest site. What's great about that is that entire post, that pin that you have on your board on your account in Pinterest, just traveled to that person's account on Pinterest along with the link. So when someone clicks on that, it takes them right back to your Pinterest account. And so that's a nice thing about Pinterest. You can also run ads on Pinterest, which if this is where your audience is hanging out and that's who you're targeting, then that might be the best platform for you in terms of advertising. We talked about keyword research. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this because this is really so important for search engine optimization. These are the words that people are typing into the Google search bar or the Yahoo search bar or the Bing search bar, depending on what browser they're using. These are the 1, 2, 5 words they're typing in there. And if they're using their phone, then they're going to drop the A's, they're going to drop the, right? So, you know, if they're on their phone and they're looking for best coffee near me, they're going to write best coffee, and Google's going to say near me. That's a search term, a high trending search term. And you go, yes, near me. And Google's going to go, okay, you're on the 101, you're right at this intersection, approaching the 51. If you know, there are all these coffee houses right near you. And they're going to show the ones that are on the map, and they're going to show the ones that also said on their website, best coffee in town, or got reviews that said best coffee, right? The word best coffee. That's a one keyword. There is such a thing as long tail and short tail keywords. And a short tail keyword is from 1 to 3 words. And it's called, and Google considers 1 to 3 words. That best coffee is one keyword, right? It's 2 words, but it's actually considered 1. You want to generate a list of 20 of those, right? So when you do your Google keyword research, you want to come up with a list that you can export and download into an Excel file that has 20 of those. The short tail keywords have 1 to 3. That's going to give you a broader area. So if you're looking for people who don't have a physical location, for example, you're not necessarily a destination. There's only one symphony location in Maricopa County. If you're the symphony, the Phoenix Symphony, and that's where you perform, then people are going to drive to that location, right? Because there's only one place that the symphony performs, and I want to go to the symphony. So that's different. That's a destination. If you are a coffee house and there are hundreds of coffee houses all over Maricopa County, then you want the long tail keyword, which is up to 5 words. And that's where you get best coffee near me, best coffee near 101 and 51, best coffee on Scottsdale Road and something, right? So those are the long tail keywords, and that's where people who are driving by or searching within a radius of 5 to 3 miles, they're going to use that, the long tail keyword versus the short tail keyword, or just 1 to 2 words. If I don't mind driving and I just want pizza, meat pizza, and I don't mind how far it's going to take me, maybe it's meat pizza, best meat pizza, Prescott. I'm going to go to Prescott. I know I have to, because maybe there isn't a good pizzeria here, or best pizza in Yavapai County, and I'm willing to drive to Chino Valley. Our neighbors say that's the best pizza at one of the pizza places in Chino Valley. That's different. But having those keywords, having them on the landing page, in your blog article, on your website, in your menu offering, wherever, you need to be using those keywords in order to make sure your website, your landing page, your social post is showing up when people are doing searches online. Hashtags, if you're using Facebook and Instagram, then hashtags are important. And I've seen two different rules of thumb on this. I've seen that you should limit it to 3 to 5. And then I've seen other people that say, no, you can have 10 hashtags. But the purpose of the hashtag is to use a keyword that people are using when they're searching. And so if you use that keyword in the bottom of your post, then, and LinkedIn uses them as well, then when people are searching and that word or those 2 words show up, that hashtag, then you have a higher likelihood of showing up as well. Your social post, your blog post, whatever. And I would recommend that if you can turn your keywords into a hashtag, that would be good. Use the keyword as a hashtag. You have a choice here. As you're creating your posts, you'll see what's trending, and it could be that the keyword you've chosen is a trending hashtag. So you definitely want to put it at the bottom of your post, because everybody's using it as they search. If there isn't, that particular keyword has high search volume, low competition, but it isn't a trending hashtag, then you have an opportunity to take ownership of that and use that as a hashtag, and use it as a keyword on all of your blogs and social posts and on your website, and eventually over time develop the ownership of that hashtag. I mean, it takes time to do that, but it does. But that's another strategy to use. So again, doing the research and seeing what the volume and competition levels are for those keywords, and then seeing what's trending and what isn't trending. That's how you would determine the hashtags to use. These are the 4 best top keyword research tools in 2023. Moz, I think, gives you 10 free a week. Google, you can have unlimited numbers, and if you're comfortable using Google, it's part of their ad planner. But they've modified it over the years, so it's much easier to use. I would say either of these 2 would be good ones to use. SEMrush I like, just because they also have a huge amount of education for people that are really learning about SEO. They have basic SEO tools, but they also have, if you want to spend the time learning more about SEO, then they've got some good educational documents there. But they give you a limited amount of information for free, and then you really have to purchase a subscription on SEMrush. Social profiles is the other piece, and I know we're running a little close to the end here. We are getting close. Make sure that everything is consistent across all the social platforms. Whatever the cover design is that you're using on Facebook, you use the same cover design on your Pinterest, on your other social platforms, on LinkedIn, etc. You want to, good to see you, Laurel. you want to make sure that you're showing up consistently, the same colors, the same logo, the same branding, so that when someone is on your Facebook page and they saw the same information or the same cover and logo on LinkedIn, they go, I know I'm in the right place. I know it's the same person. Instagram doesn't give you those options. You don't get a cover image, but the other platforms usually do. And we've talked a lot about this. I would recommend exploring this bit.ly link here to run Facebook and Instagram contests. That is going to get you a lot of engagement. So explore that. And let me see, we are really running out of time here, but let me see if I can go through this really quickly. And I know several of you have to leave. Post varied content, don't just deliver the same all the time. So on each platform, even if it's, you're running a post on Facebook and LinkedIn and I don't know, on X maybe, use different images, just change it up a little bit. Don't use the same post on every platform. Because number one, the social platforms don't like that. Use images and videos that are active, have active engagement. And we've talked about specific content strategies for each platform. You can do a lot of listening, which I would recommend. You want to sign up for your competitors on their social platforms and then see what they're posting. And then periodically see what is working and what isn't working. If you're not getting any interaction on certain posts, then that's not working. You're not getting any engagement. So you want to be tracking the comments, the shares, and what kind of responses you're getting on each of those platforms where you're running posts. And looking at the hashtags, are people using them? Are they not? Some hashtags fall off after a while. If you're using trending hashtags, maybe you need to stop using those and switch to something else. Influencers are another one. Influencer marketing is big, and you can research, look at who's got millions of followers. And there's a whole strategy behind engaging an influencer. Like if you're you're selling jewelry or clothing or backpacks or something like that, then you might want to see if you can get connected with an influencer who's got several 100,000 or millions of followers and get them to use your product and then promote it to their audience. Even if you're in cosmetics, for example, that would be another area. And then you can research them using these different tools, TweetDeck, BuzzSumo, FollowerWonk. And then these are tools that can help you manage your social media strategy. They are not, Sendable Sendable is not free. Buffer has a free version. Hootsuite, I don't know if it's got anything free anymore, but it's good for teams. So if you've got like multiple people that are posting for you, Hootsuite might be what you want to use. And these are scheduling tools that make it easy. So you can just devote like a couple hours a week and get everything loaded into your scheduling tool, and it'll run for the next 10 days. And that just frees up your time. And okay, we are at the end here. So if there are any more questions, please put them in the chat, and I'll keep monitoring that. Then I'm just going to briefly share a little bit about the SBDC counseling experience, because the whole purpose here really is to keep you engaged. We want to build a long-term relationship. And so when you do get signed up with a counselor, then the whole purpose is to set some objectives with you at the initial session and then schedule some follow-up sessions so that we can help you move your business along and help you achieve your goals. That's the objective that we have in supporting you in your business and helping your business run. Heather, it was good to see you. Marie, it was good. I didn't see you, but see your chats online. And we are at the end. I only ran a little bit over. You'll get the slides, as I said, and good to interact with everybody. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you, Jerry. And this will be posted on our website by end of day tomorrow. Thank you.